Open the oldest photo of yourself you have, the toddler one. Look at that kid. You have no idea who they are, but that kid lived an entire life, learned a language, figured out faces, fell in love with someone, probably your mother, harder than you have ever fallen in love with anyone since. And you remember none of it, not a single frame. This is childhood amnesia. In 2014, a neuroscientist in Toronto figured out why, and it had nothing to do with your mind. Try to remember your second birthday. You can't. Try to remember the first time you saw the ocean, or your grandmother's voice when you were 2, or the smell of your old crib. There is nothing there, just a flat black wall. The average age of a person's earliest memory is about 3.5 years old. Before that, silence. Psychologists call this childhood amnesia, and almost every human alive has it. It is one of the strangest, most uniform things about being a person. You spent roughly 1,277 days alive before that wall. You were not unconscious. You were not stupid. By age 2, you knew about 300 words. You recognized your own name. You could plan. You could predict. You could lie. You laughed at jokes. You had favorite people. And the brain that did all of that, your brain, the one in your skull right now, kept absolutely none of it. For a long time, people assumed this was just how memory worked. Babies are dumb. They don't form memories. End of story. But that turned out to be completely wrong. Babies form memories constantly. They have to. That is how they learn to be human. So the question stopped being, why don't kids remember? And it became something much weirder. Why does the brain delete the memories on purpose? The first person to take this seriously was Sigmund Freud. In 1899, Freud wrote about childhood amnesia, and he was honest about how strange it was. He had been listening to his adult patients try to dig up their earliest memories, and he noticed that almost none of them could go back before age 3. So Freud, being Freud, decided the memories were being repressed. He said the toddler version of you experienced something so chaotic, so sexual, so emotionally overwhelming that the adult brain had to hide it from itself, locked it behind a wall to keep you sane. This explanation hung around for almost a century. Therapists hunted for repressed toddler trauma. Parents worried about what their 2-year-old was secretly recording. And it was all wrong. The memories were not hidden. They were not buried. They had not been repressed at all. They had simply been erased. The brain was not protecting you. The brain was bulldozing. And nobody knew that yet, because nobody had thought to look at the part of the brain that was actually doing it, the hippocampus. Enter Paul Franklin. In 2014, Franklin was running a lab at the Hospital for Sick Children in Toronto, studying memory in mice. He had noticed something nobody could explain. Adult mice remember threats. If you put an adult mouse in a small chamber and give it a tiny foot shock, the mouse will remember that chamber for weeks. Put it back in the same room, and it freezes in fear. Baby mice can also be trained this way. You put a baby mouse in the chamber, you shock it, and the next day it remembers. It freezes. But here is the part that broke the field. A few weeks later, that same mouse, now older, has forgotten. The fear is gone. The memory is gone. The chamber is just a chamber again. Adult mice keep the memory. Baby mice lose it. So Franklin and his colleague Catherine Akers asked the question nobody else had asked. What is the baby mouse brain doing that the adult brain isn't? And the answer